Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mind the Moment. This is our coffee house in the cloud, a place for us to get centered, to listen, and to come together around our shared humanity. It is June 2nd, 2020, which happens to be the birthday of philosopher, activist, educator, and actor Cornel West. During a speech in 2011, Dr. West said, quote, "We've forgotten that a rich life consists fundamentally of serving others, trying to leave the world a little better than you found it. We need the courage to question the powers that be, the courage to be impatient with evil and patient with people, the courage to fight for social justice. In many instances, we will be stepping out on nothing and just hoping to land on something. But that's the struggle. To live is to wrestle with despair, yet never allow despair to have the last word." Elsewhere, Dr. West noted, "I cannot be an optimist, but I am a prisoner of hope." We're in a time of almost overwhelming uncertainty, but speaking only for myself, I find that mindfulness practice allows me to step more boldly into the unknown of each moment, if not imprisoned by hope per se, then at least elevated by it in order to find the most compassionate response to every circumstance that arises. I'm John Roberts. I'm from Harvard Pilgrim Health Care's Mindfulness program, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share the space this morning with Greg Topakian, a lifelong teacher, most recently of mindfulness. Good morning, Greg. How are you today?
Oh, wow. A lot of feelings, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very, very happy to be able to be with you and with others today.
Happy to be here with you and with all the people that I can't see. Nice to be with you. Nice to have this time to practice together. It helps.
It does help, yes. In just a moment, Greg, I'll hand things back over to you. Lead us in a 10-minute guided meditation, after which we'll get started with some Q&A, and then we'll wrap things up just before 9 a.m. For the folks at home, you may have noticed at the bottom of your screen an option to open up a chat box. At any point, please open that chat box. We'd love to hear from you. Greg, is there anything you'd like to ask the folks at home to comment on as we get started?
Yeah, I'd just like to say at the beginning, we're all feeling these are very challenging times. I was guiding a meditation with John about 6 weeks ago, and they were challenging times then with the pandemic, the virus, uncertainty, fear, anxiety. And now with what's happening in our cities, the killings and the acts of racial violence, there's a lot more feelings out there. There's a lot of pain. There's some anger. And we first feel that for the victims, for the families of the victims in the immediate communities. But there's also a lot of feelings for us, for the rest of us who are trying to keep track of what's happening and what we're seeing and what we're hearing. A lot of pain for us also. And our task as human beings attempting to be mindful, wiser, and more compassionate is to first off honor these feelings, not to run away from them, not to repress them, to attempt to not be overwhelmed by them, but to learn to be with them so we can be as effective and as kind and compassionate in this world as possible. And so I'd like to invite you, the first step in all that is to recognize the feelings that are percolating in each one of us and to name it. And so I'd like to invite you, if you'd like, in a word or two, to offer that in a chat. For me, it's just sadness and anger.
All right, so we'll give folks a moment to do that. It looks like we have a pretty large group of folks practicing with us this morning. It's great to be sharing this space with all of you today. So please keep in mind that only Greg and I will be able to see what you type. And if we don't read your questions or comments out loud, please know that we do read and appreciate them all. And before we close, I will also point everyone towards some other ways that you can get in touch with us as well. So, okay, a lot of things coming in. Let's read a few here. Rage, fear, deep sadness, anger, unsettledness, brokenness, sad but thankful, heartbreak, despair. I think I can leave it there. So, okay, Greg, as you said, there's a lot happening right now. I'm feeling a little bit disembodied, like I'm stuck up here. And so I'm wondering if maybe you could get us started by helping me and us unpack this idea of how we can sort of turn away from the spinning streams of thought and get back towards, the body.
Good suggestion, John. First, I'd like to, in the spirit of all that's happening, I'd like to propose that we dedicate today's practice to the cultivation of our minds and hearts, so we can be all part of promoting a world which includes social and racial justice, and where all beings are treated with respect and dignity. So let's begin a practice. It's often suggested when emotions are strong that we turn towards our emotions, that we be with our emotions. Because what can often happen when emotions are strong, when feelings are high, when we're revved up, maybe a little overwhelmed, is that we can get lost in our minds a little bit, start telling stories about all the bad things that happened in the past, all the bad things that could happen in the future. Where's it going to go? How is this going to turn out? And before we know it, we're adding fuel to the fire. So what's often suggested when feelings are strong is to turn to the body. And so we're going to do an exercise together that will help us to turn to the body. And in the spirit of turning to the body, we're trying to be in the present moment. What is happening right now, and what would help? I was taking a class last night, and the teacher said, keep it simple and stick to the present moment. So let's begin the practice. So I can't see you, but I'm presuming most of you are sitting in a chair. So I'll invite you to find a comfortable position for yourself. And again, just bringing your attention to the body. First the head, the weight of the head on the neck on the shoulders, the spine relatively straight, the crown of the head flat, maybe tilted forward a little bit. If you're comfortable, the eyes closed. And if not, the eyes gazing downward just to minimize distraction. Shoulders are relaxed. The hands are resting in the lap. You feel your buttocks on the seat of the chair, your feet on the floor. Just breathing into the body. Breathing, knowing that you're breathing. Knowing sensations in the body. Knowing feelings that are arising, strong feelings, if there are. It's okay. So we're just checking in. What's happening now? Now our exercise today is going to be moving into a standing posture. Now before you do so, the aspiration for this practice is to help us tap into what we sometimes call our direct experience. What is happening in the body now through the senses in this present moment without the mind getting all involved in editing the story, embellishing the story, biasing the story, telling fantastical stories. Can we just be present for what's happening in the body? So I'm going to invite you to move from sitting to standing, but just wait a second. We're going to do this in micro steps. And I'll say the words first, just to give you a sense of how I would like you to participate in that transition from sitting to standing, and then you can engage in the process. So for me, I first notice the intention to move from sitting to standing. And then an impulse to begin to engage some parts of my body. For me, I can feel a tilting forward, my legs getting engaged, my thigh muscles getting activated, the weight moving forward into the legs. Maybe I push off, put my hands on the chair and push off, lift that buttocks up, the knees straightening out, and the body straightening out. So micro steps, and in your own time, if you could engage in that process of moving from sitting to standing. And I'm just adjusting my camera so you can see me in the standing position. Adjusting the posture, weight evenly distributed on the feet, and just noticing what it feels like to stand. Now, I'd like to say this right from the very beginning. This is not an exercise to achieve a personal best. It's not a competition for who can stand the longest. This is an exercise with an aspiration of just developing more awareness of the body, of tuning into the direct experience of standing. So, if at any time you need to put your hands on the chair behind you or in front of you or a desk in front of you, or you need to sit down, please, 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 if that's what you're feeling that you need to do, then do it, right? Because that's part of the process of checking in of what's happening now and what would help. Okay, so we're standing. And we're knowing that we're standing. We're breathing, and we're knowing that we're breathing. How are your shoulders? Are they relaxed? How is your posture? Is it relatively straight? How is the weight balanced on your feet? Maybe there's a slight rocking back and forth. Now, for the next exercise from standing, I'm going to invite you to just shift your weight forward a little bit. So instead of being evenly distributed on your feet, maybe the weight is more on the front part of your feet, the ball of the feet, right at the base of the toes. And maybe your head moves forward a little bit. The shoulders come forward a little bit. Maybe the arms are hanging downward as we tilt forward a little bit. And we're just checking in with the body. How comfortable is the body as it moves forward? Where can the body go and still feel safe? Again, this is not a test for a personal best or a challenge. What it is an exercise for a deep checking of the needs of the body. I don't know about you, but I'm not thinking right now. I'm not conceptualizing or analyzing. I'm just really tuned into my body. What does it feel like as I play with my weight, shifting, and with balance? And then you can move back to a more vertical posture. Noticing all the micro sensations. And now I'll invite you to perhaps shift the weight back to the heels a little bit of your feet. And again, maybe leaning back slightly. Again, it's not a competition. What it's about is just to give us a little extra nudge in the direction of paying attention to body. As I move the body, tilt the body back a little bit. How is it now, and what does my body need? What am I feeling? Not thinking, but feeling and knowing. And then we can bring it back to standing position. And just checking in. What does the body feel now? In this room, in this moment, what sensations are present? Is there a feeling of safety? Is there a feeling of insecurity? What is the truth for you? And just like we moved from sitting to standing, I'll invite you now to move back from standing to sitting, again, not in an abrupt movement, but very mindfully, noticing the intention to move, the impulse to move, and all the micro steps involved. For me, it's turning back and making sure my chair is still there, beginning to bend the knees, lowering the buttocks gradually, placing the hands on the seat of the chair. We all have our own process. Letting the buttocks rest on the chair. Oh, yes. And noticing the different sensations in the body as we sit. And I'll count backwards from 3. And when I get to 1, I'll invite you to reopen your eyes and come back to the room. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for that, Greg. You know, I love this idea of orienting practice towards the body. I sometimes catch myself thinking of meditation as one thing and body center practices like yoga or Tai Chi as something else. And you're bringing home to me the fact that these practices are all quite intertwined.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And you and I have both sat retreats at different times with a British meditation teacher who's known as Ajahn Sucitto, and he's very much about engaging the body as you had pointed out to me earlier, but engaging the body before practice, during practice, after practice. I have to say, Greg, as I was standing, there was a sense of a little bit of anxiety and almost panic that rose up, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And I think very often we don't, or I don't, confront the sort of inherent unstableness in the body. It just I've been so used to standing and walking my entire life that I don't think very much about it, and that just realizing the line between being a stable, upright being and not is maybe thinner than I might like.
Well, sure. And it's not to say that when we're standing, particularly in these times, that it's all going to be pleasant and joyful feelings, right? There's a lot going on, but the intent of this practice is to really have attention go right to the body and what is happening in the body, and not to the stories that we're telling about it. When I'm leaning forward, at least for me, boy, the attention is all, well, what does this feel like? Do I feel safe? Where am I feeling it? How do I adjust the body just to play with this? And I'm not looking for the right word. I'm not writing a clever essay or email. The intention is in the body. Remember the instructions, keep it simple and stick to the present moment.
Yeah, I was listening to this audio documentary some time ago where that it was describing the actual, physiological process of running, and running requires the body to fall and then catch itself in these very smooth motions. And something struck me as being very touching about that. That we're always sort of falling but catching ourselves, and that our body knows how to do that. We can trust our body to know how to generate that motion.
Yes.
So I want to make sure to invite folks who are watching to ask Greg questions. But as you do so, I had one of my own, Greg, if you don't mind. So I'm having this experience where I've been watching, or more often than not, thumbing through the news, and I feel very, helpless. I think to myself, what is the point of mindfulness in all of this? How can sitting here watching my breath really affect what's going on out there? And I wonder if you have any thoughts on helping me sort of contextualize that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, John. It's a great question. Remember we practice mindfulness not just so that we can become good meditators, but so that we can be more effective in our ordinary lives. And so what does that mean? Mindfulness is in the service of cultivating wisdom and compassion. And part of wisdom, if we want to break this down, is to be awake and aware of what's happening in this body and mind in as many moments as possible in our day. Now, why is that important? Well, many of us are feeling very strong emotions right now. And so it's not to deny those emotions, it's not even about hoping they're not there. It's about noticing the emotions, and because we're aware of them, understanding what is the best way to work with those emotions. What's the best way to express them? What's the best way to honor them? So perhaps for many of us, it's absolutely right for us to feel a little outrage right now. But what's the best way of putting that out there, or expressing it, so that the aims that we have, the ideals that we hold, have a better chance of happening rather than moving us in the opposite direction? So mindfulness, first off, is in the spirit of helping us to be more awake and in touch, so we know best how to operate in the world. Now, the second half of that is mindfulness works hand in glove with kindness and compassion, which has probably come up in these sessions. And so I think we all know very deeply that what the world needs now is a lot of kindness and a lot of compassion offered to a lot of people. Now, perhaps we're not on the front lines, but I think we all know deep down that it's little acts of kindness to our neighbor, to our partner, to whoever we have contact with, who then is more likely to pay that forward also. And I think we all have to believe that the more centered we are and the more kind we are, though that is the building block of the world moving in the direction we want it to move.
Yeah, somebody just commented. I didn't catch this yesterday, but apparently Governor Baker, my old employer, used the word compassion when he was making remarks at the podium.
Yes.
So that is it seems like a step in the right direction.
Well, Anderson Cooper last night used the phrase, we want to become agents of healing. So how do we become agents of healing? Well, I think first off, we have to take stock of, where am I at right now? What are all the feelings inside of me, and how can I work with them so I can be a more effective person in the world and perhaps absorb and offer kindness to the people who are worse pain than I am.
Yeah, I suppose if you want to be, to be a healing force, it's you might need to be a little bit humble, or I feel like I need to be humble, and no, I need to be taught how to do that correctly, in the most correct way, taught by others, taught by my own inner wisdom, if I have the ability to cultivate that.
Right, absolutely. Checking in, how is it now, and what would help? And when we practice mindfulness, these questions become part of the new normal for us, right? We're more regularly checking in, and we're more regularly asking ourselves, what would help reduce suffering in this moment?
Greg, I didn't give you a warning about this, but I'm wondering, could you, as we're getting ready to close up, would you mind doing just a little bit of compassion practice for us?
Sure. So we're just looking to get a comfortable position for ourselves, settling in. For us mere mortals, all of us imperfect beings, living in this world of uncertainty, fear, pain, and some anger. May you feel safe and protected. May I feel safe and protected. May all beings feel safe and protected. May you be healthy. May I be healthy. May all beings be healthy. May we all feel the love and support of the people who care for us. May we all feel this moment of peace. And may we all aim to purify our minds and hearts to help build a world that offers each person respect and dignity. May we all be well.
Thank you, Greg. All right, so I guess I want to end with just letting folks know about a few things we have going on. So in just 1 week from today, we will be offering a workshop entitled Mindfulness for Beginners of All Levels, which is free, open to the public, and it's going to be virtually delivered. It will be led by my colleague Tara Healy. It's going to cover what mindfulness is and isn't, how meditation fits in, how to get started, where to go from there. And there'll be plenty of time for Q&A in that as well. And so we'll be offering this workshop at 2 different times: Tuesday, June 9th, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern, and Wednesday, June 10th, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. Tara will be doing the same material at both sessions, but feel free to attend both if you like. No registration is required. Everyone is welcome. So please tell your friends, family, colleagues, anyone else that you like. And the links to attend can be found at harvardpilgrim.org/livingwell@home. And while you're there, please check out the other free public and virtual things that we're offering. So for our own part, we'll be back with you every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. You can find the links to these sessions and other resources at our main site at harvardpilgrim.org/mindfulness. Please drop us a line at askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org, or leave a comment on our Facebook page. Let us know how you're doing, what's going on with you. Do you have any questions for our experts? You can also leave a voicemail at my desk number, which is 617-509-7047. You can rewatch this session and older sessions on our YouTube page and find guided meditations on our SoundCloud page. So Greg, thank you for your guidance and your presence this morning. It's been wonderful to be with you.
And thank you all to the participants for sharing your practice. Like I said, it helps, and it really does help us all. So may we all be well.
Stay safe out there, be well, and we hope to see everyone soon.